The Athene Real Talk Podcast explores controversial ideas to stimulate debate and active thinking. These ideas do not always reflect Athene's personal views. Welcome to the Athene Real Talk Podcast.
He has been called the best gamer in the world, hands down.
World-famous gamer and philanthropist Athene.
Gaming for Good, it's called, has raised more than $20 million.
Using his notoriety to raise money for charity.
On activism, science, culture, and self-development.
Proud to have him in the studio today. I would not want to take you on in a video game.
What do you think people like Toll are missing? Ketchups? What I think Edward Poole is missing is life is not just about being. Life is not about experience. Life is about evolving. And when being is your core value, then what you become is you become a plant. When logic is your core value, then you become a drive and a force to change the world. That's the difference. And a lot of people misunderstand that. They think life is about having a good experience. That's not true. The only reason why you experience a good experience is because we have evolved to experience that, because it strengthens our survival and our evolution. By understanding what we are on a bigger scale, we put these things into a bigger perspective, and we start understanding that even our emotions are just a mean to the end, which is evolution, is evolving. And I just feel like, oh yeah, I don't mind so much about feeling good. What I mind about is evolving and spreading this awareness. So that's what Edward Toll has been missing. And that's why he gets a lot of meaning of spreading his insight, because he's helping a lot of people, but actually he's not contributing to our evolution. He's more like making people feel happy with their current lifestyle with some brain hack, but it's really just completely goes against what we are basically. TWT Starr says, how would you quantify the value of anyone's lives? It's actually quite easy. You would just look at the actual impact. If you see two just normal people, or you compare it to Bill Gates, for example, he's been literally responsible for devastating certain viruses around the entire planet. I would say Bill Gates is worth millions of people. Like that guy, to me, it's about like always these things. Of course, when you start going like, yeah, but how do you balance that in society and stuff, it becomes more complicated. Because the car stuff, you can easily say like, oh yeah, I drove over these two guys because I had no choice. Nobody's going to complain about it. But on the other hand, when it's about more practical questions, really more concrete ethical questions, you have to also see the impact on society, which is a lot of people that are ignorant. Therefore, having the certain simplified higher moral ground is better politically than just going about it logically, because the ripple effect would be negative, and therefore it's logical to go about it in a more pragmatic way. That's why if I would be elected as a politician, I would think like maybe it's better logically to have refugees being here in Europe, but I would know it would actually create polarization, and I would get voted out the next cycle, and it would even get worse. Therefore, I will have less aggressive policies about refugees coming over, and I would actually let them speak more into the word of the populace. And that's the thing. You always have to be pragmatic when you look at it in a reality setting, and you have to understand the psychology of people and how your decisions will impact society. But there's always a logical answer that you can give. But sometimes it's not that simple as just, oh, this or that. So when you just take your train of thought logically and you create these abstract scenarios, you always have to give all the full information, and that also includes if it's known by other people, media will pick up on it, how would it translate, and if you take all the different variables into the equation, you can make a perfect decision. So that's why, you know, when people come with these ethical questions, I just poof, answer them all so easy. You know that equality actually goes against this term, because if everybody is equal, what if one person can save 10 people? Then that person is worth more, right? So like equality goes literally against itself. Same with freedom. If you want to be free, but your freedom goes at the cost of someone else's freedom, to which extent can you call be fully free? Then you have to be responsible. So you don't have freedom without responsibility. There's so many concepts that we live by day to day, like equality, freedom, and all that shit, and we have absolutely no clue that it's self-contradictory. But we don't care, because we don't care about facts. We only care about our core emotion. We care about our comfort. We're actually very selfish beings. And that's why when you replace it with logic, you become much more in line with what you are. You start taking care of other people and all that shit, because you become selfless. So I got a message from I'm the Real Soda. It's not the Real Soda, by the way, but it's just a viewer. And I read his message. He PM'd me on Reddit. Normally I don't read these messages, but I was like, you know, I had more time, so I took the time to read it. And I was like, it's a really good thing to go to this message and explain very in-depthly the situation, because a lot of people are unaware, and not just are unaware, have a different awareness. So, hey, I hope you at least read this through. I will also try to keep this as short as possible, but it's important. So please keep in mind that I've shortened this massively and English is not my native language, okay? As you know, your stream has quite changed a lot, which is fine. I just want to give you some insight as how the stream is right now from a viewer perspective. If I tune in, here's what I see in the chat. Long-time subscribers getting perma-banned for saying, I'm not sure, but I think I clicked before the first YouTube video. Okay. There is something that people have to be aware. And then he says like, yesterday 9 months subscriber did, and the 2 other subs where I don't know how long they were subbed. I talked to them, they did not only unsub, they also unfollowed. That's how pissed they were. So there is something that people don't understand. People that subscribe to my Twitch channel do not support me. People that donate do not support me. Like honestly, when it comes down to myself, I can take care of myself very easily. I actually made a lot of money playing poker, and when it comes down to making money, I have a really easy time doing so. So when people subscribe, money goes to Save the Children. All of it actually. I'm actually the only Twitch streamer where all the income from subscribers goes to Save the Children. And people might say like, okay, that's really nice. It's a lot of money. I was at one point the biggest amount of subscribers that Twitch ever had. Almost 25,000 subscribers. All the money went to Save the Children. The only reason why I stopped asking for subscribers is because Twitch wanted to change the plan after we agreed that everything was going to charity. And that's why I stopped asking for subscribers. But I could have made literally, like if you calculate it out, I could have made from subscribers, this is if I would just take the money myself and it's less subscribers, I would have made around average 15K a month, myself personally. But all the money just goes to charity instead, even more because they don't even take a cut. So basically when people go like, yeah, this guy has been supporting you for so long, no, they haven't supported me. They've supported charity. People that donate don't donate for me. I mean, you know how cheap I live. I literally live on 150 euros a month. People that donate, they donate for the projects, for the way I contribute to the world. It's not a personal transmission of thankfulness. So when people come around and go like, yeah, I subscribed for you because I want to support you, or I gave money because you want to support, you're not supporting me. You're supporting the ideas that allow me to help the world. And that's where the money is going as well. I mean, all the money is going to help people, to help pay this building. I don't need this building. It's to help the world move forward. So that's already a very important thing to be aware. Because a lot of people, when they donate or when they subscribe or whatever, they do it from a selfish lens. And they think I'm supporting this personality, Athene. But the Athene personality doesn't even exist. Even the story Athene doesn't exist. And I already said that a lot. Said the way I go about life, I don't even exist for myself. The identity, I, does not exist. I know I'm just part of my environment and everything is interconnected. It's just my understanding of neuroscience, how, you know, all the neural networks that bring about my awareness are part of my consciousness. And the moment I'm differentiating, I go against what I am. But I don't want to go too much deep in detail that because I've already talked a lot about it. But the thing is like, that's where the fundamental difference is in awareness. I do things not for myself. I do things with a global awareness. So when I ban someone that is saying, I'm not sure, but I think I clicked before the first YouTube video, first of all, that was not said. And what was being said is like, the person was, I did click before the YouTube video. And now you can wonder like, why do I ban that? And this is something that a lot of people won't realize. But I already explained it a lot, but I'm going to explain it again. But I will go further to the text because there is another point he makes and then I'm going to connect it to that. Now, yesterday you said, you know that I do nothing because I waste my time in the chat because of my Twitch name. I partially agree since I'm never satisfied with the amount of help I do, but I don't do nothing. I work for a sub-company of Kroos in Germany. It's not that famous, so maybe you don't know it, but that's not important. What I'm trying to say is I spend around 10 hours a day helping people. Really helping people that have nearly nothing. The few hours of free time I have, I like to spend it listening to you. And what do? You insult me like that. I don't want to be a douchebag, but you're full of shit. You don't want to help people. You don't give a shit about helping people. If you truly want to care about helping people, you go about it in an effective way. Do you go and waste your life 10 hours a day trying to bullshit yourself you're actually helping people? There's actually people dying in Africa that really need help. How do you backwards rationalize? What you truly want is just live a comfortable life, and you backwards rationalize that your job is actually helping people so you don't feel as guilty that you're not doing shit for the world. That's what you do. And this is what a lot of people do. They don't go about life in a way that is very skeptical. They go about life in a way that they can just justify, rightly enough, their comfort. Even people here that were really helping and everything, the moment their comfort was being, questioned, they just left. And that's the thing. If you start to understand that it's not the helping people you care about, but rather just feeling comfortable, then suddenly all this text you're writing there becomes a lot more, dark in a sense. But hey, I'm not done yet. I'm going to go further because there is where I'm going to make a point. And I've seen stuff that is not logical, a lot of stuff, which is fine. It really is. What? It's fine to see stuff that is illogical, to just accept that? Is that fine? To see the misery in the world and just accept that? No, I think doing something about it is what we are supposed to do. But either way, here comes the part where I'm going to go back and connect to the previous point. Now, what you basically say is, I was always logical, like the perfect human, and if someone tries to question that, you really get defensive and aggressive. If someone says he thinks he has clicked, let's say a year ago, you instantly get triggered and attacked him for it. Behavior like that just shows that you really heavily feel entitled to your accomplishments and don't accept any of your criticism. Also, you feel you're above all the other people in some form. Please look critically at your life for a second. How many hours have you slept each day? Only the required amount? Have you really been 100% productive every day? Or did you watch a movie or series or play in some form at any point, even if only short? Did you at any point waste any time? If you manage to look critically at yourself, I feel like you might realize that you have not always been clicked. You try to tell yourself that, but maybe you even believe it yourself, because this makes you look and feel just great. You have to realize that if you tell yourself, I'm the biggest philanthropist, I'm a rare case that has always been logical perfect, I'm kind of like Galileo or Einstein, you lift yourself up at a really high point, which you do because it feels so good. But at that point, you stop looking critical at yourself. Now, I really hope that you at least think about this and not just skip to or answer. We can talk about this on Skype, because then you have not really read it. I wish you the best, I really do. Well, as you can see, I even read it on the stream. I don't think I'm kind of like Galileo or Einstein. I'm way better. It's incomparable. It might sound a little bit crazy, but hear me out. When you say logical/perfect, that's already completely flawed. Perfect is a concept that is very hard to define. You always need a norm in order to define what is perfect. So just the language and the way you bring it up really shows a certain layer of agenda where you're trying to push a certain image that is not even in line with the narrative that I bring about. But I'm gonna go to the core of it. First of all, why did I ban the guy that was saying he clicked before? And why do I get very aggressive when people say they clicked before? Let me tell you why. Because people don't understand what clicking truly is. People don't understand that when logic is your core value, what it does to you. People don't understand it. And let me explain you how it works. When I had adopted logic as my core value, and I can actually really even pinpoint it since I was really young. Since I was really young, around 10 years old, I thought about it and I was really common sense. That's what I called it. I need to act and live by common sense. And it really very quickly, translated in applying logic to my knowledge and stuff and insights, and always be as rational as possible. Of course, I didn't have as much insight in neuroscience, as much insight I have today, but logic was what drove me. So when can I pinpoint it? Very clearly, because when I was 10, I didn't have this advanced intellectual concept. I was still a kid. Looking back, I think I was 14 when I told my mother, that's how I can trace it back, that instead of getting a favorite game or toys, because my birthday was always the best, by the way, I was always getting sick presents, even though we didn't have so much money. I told her that for my birthday, I want her to stop smoking. And the reason why I'm giving this example is because that's when I started becoming a lot more selfless. I wasn't really thinking my world, I was looking more at the world from a selfless angle. And when I was 15, I asked the same thing to my mother. When I was 16, for 3 years, I asked her for my birthday to stop smoking. When I was 17, I realized by that time that it didn't do so much and it actually caused more harm. So I asked her just to be happy. I never asked a present since then. Since 14, I never asked a present from anyone, by the way. And you got to understand, my presents, my birthday was a very big emotional moment to myself, because we came from a very poor family and the birthday was literally the only thing that I got something. I'm not going to go too much in detail, but it was a very strong emotional, nostalgia for me. But I took distance from it because I wanted to help the world. I wanted to have an impact because it was the logical thing to do. Until up to 16, I was always thinking a lot and talking, debating and structuring my paradigm. Right now, when people click, they just go through the text. they listen to the Real Talks, and they get all the answers. When I was really young, I had to come up with all these answers myself. It took me years. It took me a decade, more than a decade. A lot of people don't realize that what they go through a few weeks, I went through it more than a decade, because I didn't have access to internet, because the internet didn't even exist by then. So my struggle of applying logic to my world was a long one, but still I always believed and had faith in it. And the reason why I'm explaining this is because I was selfless. It's very important to understand that. I didn't care about myself since I was really young. And the thing is, when you don't care about yourself, what it actually has as a result is you only act with the best intentions. And when you act with the best intentions, you do not feel guilty. You just cannot feel guilty. Because whenever something happens, even if it's bad or whatever, even if I made a wrong call, I just look back and I said, by then, I was using my best knowledge and I did what I thought was the best, because myself was not part of the equation. So when people come to me and say like, oh yeah, this where you're always perfect or this or that, I just know and I can say, since I was very young, I always acted in the interest of the planet, a selfless interest. And you might say like, but man, this sounds almost like Jesus or whatever. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with logic being your core value. And that's where it comes. The reason why I get so annoyed and pissed when people come and say they clicked before is because it's a disgrace to logic. It's a disgrace to clicking. It's an insult. It's a complete insult. Because when you are like that, then logic, and this is something that people don't understand, whenever you do something logical, you feel rewarded. Your reward center gets stimulated and dopamine is released. You feel great about yourself. And if people say they clicked and they had logic as their core value, and they just say they didn't do shit for the world, that's literally like an insult. Because if you can just feel great about doing logical stuff, then you automatically set yourself in as a servant of the superorganism. Automatically, you become selfless. And that is where, when someone comes to me and says like, hey, I've clicked before, even a long time subscriber, I know that they're full of shit, because if it's true, they would be completely a servant of the superorganism. That's what you become, because you realize the connection on an awareness level. You just adopt a bigger awareness. And I've had that since I was very young, because I was lucky, because of RNG. But now you can say like, why do you permaban him? And this is where it goes even further. The reason why I permaban people is not because of a selfish reason, and that's the problem. The problem with this entire post is you're looking at me from your own selfish awareness. But I don't have a selfish awareness. I am selfless. The I does not even exist to me. Every day I put my time and my thoughts to help the world. I don't have my own problems. Ask everybody here. I never talk about my own problems because I don't have any. Because the problems of other people exceed my problems in so many magnitudes, I think it's a disgrace and disrespectful to even have my own problems. Because the moment I even have the slightest problem, I immediately contextualize it compared to people that are working day in, day out in mines in China to feed their children. They go through much more suffering than I do. And that's how I calibrate myself all the time. But you wouldn't be able to understand it if logic is not your core value. Because if comfort is your core value, then you just think differently. You are a different person. So now you might say like, yeah, but why do you ban these people? I ban these subscribers for themselves. You might say like, how does that even work? If people come on the chat and are speaking to me, what I care more than anyone is about their good. I'm going even further. What I care most about is the collective good. So if I have to, for example, set an example, but it helps other people, I will do that. But when a subscriber comes and supports a charity for 12 months or 5 years or whatever, and makes a claim like that, I think, okay, how do I make this person reevaluate what he thinks in the most effective way? People that have supported me for a very long time, they've been watching the Real Talk for a very long time. Obviously, it hasn't worked yet. And the funny thing is, when you confront people with a lot of dissonance, and when people, you actually push them away from watching the stream, when the stream is actually contributing to them comfort, that on itself increases the chances of these people to make the click. And that's exactly the same reason why people like Nolan, which I really like myself a lot, left home. Because the chances of them clicking at home was higher than staying here, because the comfort they were experiencing here went against their own best will. Same with people here watching me for such a long time. That's why I also tell them, like, don't watch my stream. If my stream, the comfort that I give you, goes against your own bettership, even if it means banning you and making you hate me or making you say like fuck you or whatever, if it will help you to grow and click, I'd gladly take it. Because it's not about me. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, and that's what you don't realize with your entire thread. You see it and you say and you speak through your own narrow-minded way of looking at the world, your own selfish way. But if you have a selfless awareness and logic is your core value, you would completely think differently. Yourself is not part of the equation anymore. Your own comfort is not anymore. And when I do actions, and I can go back all the way until young, I can always say I had the best interests. So when you say like, yeah, about my perfect, have you ever done this? I have always in my entire life acted among my information and knowledge I had and did the best thing that I thought was the best thing for the world. I can say that. I have done that since I was a kid. Well, maybe not when I was really young, but until 14. That's when it really started. The selfless actions. So when I look back, I don't feel bad about myself. I can say these things, I can state these things. Do you guys know how much shit I've gone through? I didn't even talk about it. I went door by door, entire Antwerp, because I wanted to raise awareness so Vlaams Blok, which was a racist party back in the days, wouldn't get protest votes because voting is mandatory. I went door on door for half a year, almost a year actually, to rain, sleet and snow, just to bring across the message because we came up as a neutral protest movement. I played poker for more than a year. It was the most stressful part in my life, by the way. Not for myself, but to buy apartments for me, Reese, Ian and Dean, so we could focus on helping the world because we needed to have financial safety. I just said like, you know guys, you guys take care of how people work, psychology, you learn that, and I will take care of the financials. You know what happened after a year and a half? They came all together to me, including Reese, and they were saying I was not part of the club anymore. They just pushed me out for no reason. They even like changed the password on my YouTube channel. You might wonder like, why did they do that? Too much dissonance. They didn't do their part of the bargain. I didn't even have so much contact. We broke apart that way. And then I really looked down and just was really nice. And at least I managed to help Reese get back in contact because he realized that it was bullshit. He realized more early than the other guys that it was bullshit. And that's why this thing happened. But I literally worked my ass off for more than a year for their life, for their livelihood, and I got backstabbed. And I never talk about it. And you might wonder like, oh, why do you even talk about it? Why would I talk about it? It has no use. The reason why I'm bringing it up now is to make you give insight that I'm a very selfless guy. With Tanya, other example. When I was together with Tanya all the way in the start of the relationship, I was the nicest guy ever. The reason why I became more blunt and more alpha is because I realized that being nice was going against me. I'm not naive, because logic was my core value, but I was a really nice guy. You could say like, yeah, but then why did you do this? Why did you do that? I didn't have the knowledge. And time after time, I just grew and became more and more aware. So when you come at me and you have this all psychological profile, you have no clue. You don't even understand my awareness. You can't even grasp it. Like truly, honestly, and same with anyone else in the chat. When you click and logic is your core value, you have a better grasp. But even then, because people that click are still behind, 25 years? And I'm a quite smart guy as well. So yeah, that's why I wanted to say, I just wanted to point this out and really say that when I act aggressively or when I act triggered or whatever, it's calculated. I discuss these things with people here. After the stream, I go and I say, okay, how did I come across? Was it good? Was it bad? I sometimes even watch my streams to see like, okay, did I come across too aggressive or this or that? But if it has positive results, if people click like Knockstep, actually click because I'm aggressive, then I don't care about my fame or my name. It can be thrown through the mud. If it means I help you, I don't mind taking it. Same like your mother. If she knows you will get better, even if you're gonna hate her or whatever, she will still do the best for you. And the only difference between your mother and me is that I have the world best interest. So if you act like a spoiled little brat and there's another kid dying instead that I can help more, I won't even care about you. Because I put it in the context, and for me, both are equal. So I always look at it like that. That's my paradigm. That's the way I look at things. And that's why I'm so impactful and so effective. So when I talk about these things and I'm really a bully on the chat, it's not because I want to be a bully. It's because I want to help. And it works. And people say it also well in the chat. I'm getting feedback from people every day. They say that bullying and being very aggressive and really strong real talk helps them more than ever. And if that means that you get more helped by not watching my stream anymore, and I can push you, even if you hate me, damn straight, I'll be the first one to do that. You think I like banning people that have been subscribed a year or 2 years to me? Do you think I like that? Do you think I get, power, whatever? No, I do it because I know it's better for them. That is the story. Grown Up says, in your world, nobody can argue with you because you just discard it with, I am way smarter than you. You don't even understand that. Not even argue. Nobody can talk to you if you pull this shit seriously. Crown Up, you are full of shit. And let me tell you why you're full of shit. You give me an argument, a strong argument, and I immediately adopt it. Do you understand that? And that's why I don't even mind. Come have a Skype call with me and give me your arguments. Your strong arguments, and if they're true, I will learn. I will accept them. That's what happens if you go through life with more than 2 decades as logic as your core value. You get really good at adopting a very, very solid framework. And I've thought about these things way longer and way more than everybody here together in the chat. And that's why I'm so good. It's not that I'm just good at words. I just thought about these things myself, day in, day out, my entire life. So when you come up with these bullshit arguments that are not even an argument, come at me, give me solid arguments, and I will gladly admit that I'm flawed. But until then, you're just full of shit, and you're just projecting your own narrow-mindedness. Whether you're a subscriber or not, I don't give a shit. You're supporting charity, you're not supporting me. I'm fully allowed to just point that out to you. I really wonder how many people understand and realize when I explain this entire story. I know most of you guys don't even realize it. When I say I have a different awareness, you guys don't even understand it. Because whatever you use, your reason is a slave of your comfort. And when you feel like it's being threatened, you just use all your reason capacities to justify your bullshit. And I keep repeating it, but you only set yourself up to suffer more. Come with strong arguments, and I'll gladly admit that I'm wrong. But don't just come and state stuff without giving strong arguments. And then people say, it really feels like he wants to feed his ego with his Skype call stuff. That's not true. When I have a Skype call with someone, I listen to their arguments. If they make a really solid argument, I learn. That's what I do. That's what I do my entire life.
Subscribe to youtube.com/AtheneWins. Watch the live stream at twitch.tv/AtheneLive and follow The Real Athene on Snapchat.